Hi, Miss Midwest Mom. Hi. Haven't seen you for a while. Haven't seen any of your content. Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Hi, gosh, it's been, I don't even remember the last time. Hello, mods. I see you coming in here to make sure this is a safe and sacred space. Always so happy to see you all here. Hi, dear friend. I hope you're doing well. I just love your content. I love your jello. I love all your content though. Hello, Harlan. Hello. What is the little symbol? Gosh, this app just keeps changing. I don't know what's happening. One of your friends is live. Invite them to go live together. How do you do that? Can you please make me a mod? Yes. Manage moderator access. It says you are one. I'm going to remove you as one and then put you back in. How's that? It says you are one. So go check again and see if you are. See if you are. Gosh, you're already having to mute people and block them. That's interesting. This could be a fun one, especially after I've just been posting some videos that might have upset some people. Oh, are they there? Unconventional Pastor Paul, I did not see them come in. Hello. Hello, leave us alone. I'm good. What is the little number? What's the little blue thing beside your name and then the number? I grabbed you. I think I can, how do I invite you? It says we're friends. Oh, can I do this? It says this viewer does not have guest access. So I can't, can you ask? Oh, Technicolor, I'm so glad you're here. Queer affirming therapist in North Carolina. That's wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. So I'm not sure. Pastor Paul was supposed to join me today, but they may not be able to join because this app has decided. It did. When I tried to invite you as a guest, they have to have over 2,000 people to join you. Pastor Paul has like over 100,000 followers, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I think that this app has banned them from going live for a while. So I think that's what's happened. Remember to tap the screen to get the hearts to boost this post. What? Who I have to do that? Or are you telling the other people who are joining? Look at this. We have so many people here. Hello. All right. So is causing trouble? Yes. Yes, indeed. But then I also think, you want to know my honest opinion? I think we're going to lose this app. I think it's going to be, I didn't know that's how the hearts happened. I think it's going to end up being a bargaining chip for the budget. So to get Biden, to get the Republicans to come to the table to negotiate, Biden is going to use TikTok and say that he'll ban it because it's been such a powerful app for information and for collective thinking, especially for those of us on this side of TikTok. A very powerful tool, especially for the millennials and Gen Xers. And I think that it's intimidating. I think he'll ban it to get them to come to the table to negotiate the budget. So I think our days are numbered. So if you're not following me over on those other places, over at Mark's place, you might do that. I'm not at Elon's place. So, well, I am, but I don't do much there. I just look at other content. So thank you, nobody's Patsy. So that's where I am. So I'm only going to hang here for a minute because I wanted to spend time with Pastor Paul. Unconventional Pastor Paul is here. We have been mutuals for about 3 years now. I love them. I love their content. I love their story, and their deconstructing story is very powerful. And I wanted to be able to talk to them today Um, there are ways around a ban. What is that? So I think, hey, Jordan, are you on live? Can I invite you here? Pastor Paul, I haven't forgotten about you, because I think what we're going to do is spend a little time here and then head over to Mark's place, to Instagram, and finish this live, because I wanted to talk to him. Do you want to go live with me? I just want to test this to see if I'm doing it right. Great. Okay, I sent you the invite and you accepted it. Hey, I know what I'm doing. I know how to get lives. There you are.
I'm here.
Hi.
Not sure if I can add the. There we go. I don't know if you guys will see me.
Can't see you. I see your picture, but I'm not seeing you yet. We're supposed to.
Can you see me?
Mm-mm.
No. Let's see.
There you are. Hi. How are you? I'm
I'm.
going to I'm going to invite another mutual. I'm
Yeah,
having fun with this because I feel invite sent. And I can make them bigger too. How do I do that?
I think it's somewhere down towards the bottom. I'm not really sure if you have to list me as like a host prior to the live because I did the same thing on my live. I had Dr. Gumby on mine giving a like talk about healthcare and stuff, and he was on mine, but I couldn't make him bigger either, so I couldn't figure out how to make him bigger. He was down here the whole time.
Okay, someone said click on their pic. I see settings. Oh, I don't want to block you. I don't see it. So, yeah, sorry about that.
I couldn't figure it out. Not just you.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to get one of our mutuals to help us with that. And I had asked another one of my mutuals to come in, but I don't see them. And like I said, I'm only going to stay for a second because I was supposed to go live with Pastor Paul. And so I think we're going to hop over to Instagram so I
Okay.
can go live with them. But
Okay.
hello, Jordan. I'm so happy. I'm so honored to be here with you, even if it's just for a second, because I absolutely love your
I
content.
love you so much. You're one of my favorite creators. When I talk about the Christians that I absolutely love on this app or spiritual people, you're one of the first I mentioned. I actually mentioned you on my live this morning. I was saying they were talking about people to follow, and I was like, "Oh, you got to follow Knothead. You got to follow Rev Karla."
And I just did send an invite to Rosie to see if she's going to join. What I love is you get a lot of heat, and I know a lot of the reason you do is because you are pushing the boundaries on patriarchy, and
Yes.
so somehow that gets pushed out to the whole misogynistic white fragile male who then
Oh,
wants to come in and attack you. And so I'm here for it, like, oh, here's going to be another smackdown. I can see what's coming here. So
I love when they stitch me. It makes my day every time.
well, your comebacks are great. And I think the work that we're doing here is so important
Yeah.
because of everything that's happening right now in the world. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to stop talking to my deconstructing people, and to the spiritual but not religious, but at the same time it's like we've got these platforms. You want to talk to
Got to get
people about
some.
what's happening in the world.
I was just talking about today with what's going on with the trans community and trying to support them in any way that we can. And I spent my whole life this morning talking about it. And I just want to make sure that, what do we have these platforms for if we can't use them for the better? What's the point? What's the point of being here?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm really concerned about, like, basically these laws that are just annihilating. They really are about annihilating the LGBTQIA plus community, and I know that that is part of the community that you are part of.
Yeah.
And I know from my experience, knowing that I have friends and family who are out and some who are terrified, who are still closeted,
Yeah.
and thinking of their future and the world I want to leave for others, for other generations. How does this impact you? How are you feeling? How are you doing?
So for me, I put the B in LGBTQIA plus, right? So that's my letter, and I'm in a heteronormative relationship. My partner is a straight cis man, so we pass as, and I'm white. I'm extremely privileged. So as a member of that community, I'm not one of the ones that takes the brunt, because with these laws passing, you have to understand the people that are affected the most are people of color, and especially the trans individuals of color. Like, these are the ones that are going to be impacted. Three trans girls of color were just unalived, and no one heard about it. Like, no one heard about it, and this happened within the last couple of months. Did you hear about it? I didn't.
No, not until I saw Mercury Stardust's video that
That
Rosie had
that's
duetted. I had not heard anything about
yeah,
it.
that's who I just duetted today. I hadn't heard about it prior till I saw it, so that's why I wanted to pump that through my channel to get this out there.
It's very scary. Okay. Oh wait, Pastor Paul has tried something else. He's
I'll
getting
jump out.
they're getting creative. Let me see. Oh, let me see. Hang on. All right. Let's
You have a good live. I'll let you go on with who you had scheduled.
Okay, thank you so much. You know,
I,
I'm going to have trouble as a boomer. I'm having trouble with my
I'll
multitasking, but if
I'll
I can get them on through this account, then that might work. So here we go. It's good to talk to you, Jordan. Let's do this again.
bye.
Oh, is it working? Are you there? I can hear you.
Can you see me is the question.
Well, Jordan had to do something to make this happen. And so mods, if you could grab Pastor Paul's other profile name. Is it at conventional Pastor Paul? Is that what you're here as?
Unconventional.
Okay, unconventional Pastor Paul. Please put that in the chat so everybody knows that you're here under your evangelical. Am I saying it right? Evangelicalish.
Yes, that's it. I came under a stealth account so I could see you because I'm apparently banned on my other account right now.
And you didn't know about it.
I didn't, but it seems like every time I go live and all the angry, hate-filled Christians start coming on my live and attacking me, next thing I know, I'm banned for a week from TikTok. So,
well, you must be doing something right.
Exactly. Exactly. I always say, you know, religious people hated Jesus, and so if religious people don't like me, then I must be doing something right.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Catreon, for following. And we have not been here for a while. I don't know, Pastor Paul. Hello, my friend. I don't know how to make you bigger in this live. If I post, I'm afraid the one looks like it has an X on it, and I know I just look like a granny. I'm sorry, because I am a granny. I'm proud of that. So y'all just leave me alone. I think what we have to do is come in as co-lives, and then your picture is as big as mine. But since you're here, and I see so many of our other mutuals inviting to come in this space, I want you all to know that I want to come. I want to invite you in here. I want to start doing these co-lives more. So just make sure that you DM me, and we'll make this happen, because I love this. So tell a little bit about you, because I think your story. Yeah, Heather, hold on just a second. Heather, I'm sorry. I didn't see a place where I could tell you that I'm going live. Now, I just recently got the option for a 10-minute video, even though it's been out there forever. So I don't know what it is about my account that I don't get the latest updates until they've been out for several months. So I didn't see it on there where I could notify my followers that I was going live. So I apologize that I didn't get a notification. Please tap your screen. Glad you are here. Hey, all silent viewers, glad you are here. Please tap your screen. Thank you for saying that. That does help the more viewers we have in here. So Pastor Paul, you have deconstructed. And
Yes.
you and I have had all kinds of conversations about that, but I think people would love to hear your story.
Yeah, and deconstruction is a word that I respect and is kind of a description of us in this space. But I think of like rethinking is kind of how I like to use it, because I don't really want to just tear things down to tear things down. I want to be thoughtful about my beliefs. And I feel like growing up in a very right-wing conservative evangelical home where my dad was an evangelical pastor. We were really taught to not think. The Satan saying, "Hath God said" in the garden, or Job, the book of Job teaches us that asking questions of God is bad. And so I was raised to believe thinking was bad. But then as I look through the Bible, and God says to Isaiah in the Bible, let's wrestle together with these kinds of, it says, "Come, let us reason together," but it literally is saying in the Hebrew, let's wrestle over this. Paul says, let's work out your salvation with fear and trembling. And my favorite verse is Romans 12:2 says, "Don't be conformed to your age or your aeon," or I say, "Don't be conformed to your echo chamber, but be transformed by the never-ending renewing of your mind, so you can know what is good and right in a season." And so, yeah, I started looking around and saying, this republicanism of our church seems a little off. And then President Obama got elected, and I'm like, geez, we look pretty racist. And at the same time, I was going through my pastoral training and started learning how the canon of the Bible came together. And I'm like, wait, you mean this thing didn't just float down from heaven in this leather binding? It was men wrestled and voted on it. And that's how we got this canon, and learning that things like the rapture weren't really in there and were relatively new theologies. And so I started saying, well, okay, what else have I been lied to about the Bible and our beliefs? And so as my theology and my ideology and my political beliefs were all kind of being unraveling like the string in the sweater, where you start pulling it and it just keeps coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, the sweater fell apart, or I say it's the Jenga tower, where finally you just pull the right brick and it comes tumbling down. And so I'm in a space now where I get to, which I love. I mean, it's a little bit scary. It can be lonely, all of those things at times. But at the same time, I feel like I get to really, truly search out supernatural love, the divine, what life is about. I get to love people. So yeah, I love being in this space.
Well, that's wonderful. And those of you who are commenting, I see your comments. Thank you so much. And if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat and we'll be happy to answer your questions. But I think one of the things, and by the way, I just interviewed Pastor Paul for my podcast, Spirituality Matters. Do y'all even know I have a podcast? Yes, Midwestern Mom. I don't know about the Broken Arrow Bible College. Now, Pastor Paul, you cannot see the comments, can you?
I can, yes.
Oh, you can. So you see the one from Midwestern Mom about the rapture being a lie. And this is really important point, because I am mutuals. I've deconstructed away from Christianity. I call myself an unchurched, non-conforming Christian, because I'm not giving up the title of Christian. I did the work. I've been baptized twice. I'm an ordained elder. I was in a school of ministry. I tithed regularly. I did the work. And there are, out of the 35,000 denominations, who gets to speak for the entirety of Christianity? The reason we have so many is because they can't get along. I'm holding on to that. But non-conforming just means that I've completely rejected all of the theology, and I'm just focusing on trying to be inspired by and connected to the teachings of Jesus. And so that gives me the critical thinking that I need to look back at the Bible instead of in the indoctrinated belief that it was infallible and inerrant, and basically from that place of being fear-based. So, and that now I walk the spiritual but not religious path. There's no way to say that on a business card, but that's who I am. But one of the things, and I think we talked about this on the podcast, is when we became mutuals, and I became I'm mutuals with progressive pastors and some evangelical pastors, and some like you that was an evangelical pastor who deconstructed, but we never talk about beliefs. We never say, well, what do you believe? My relationship with you is not contingent upon what I believe and what you believe. So that was always a part of how we created these spiritual communities, especially in the evangelical world. You had to believe your not only did your salvation depend on it, but your connection in your spiritual community depended on you believing that subset. And I think it's fascinating that at least in my circle of experience, I don't have to ask any of you what you believe about the Trinity, about the virgin birth, about the resurrection, about the rapture. So I'm not going to put you on the spot here because Midwestern Mom asks us about the rapture. And I believe that it is less than 300 years old theology that was started by, came from John Nelson Darby and the whole dispensationalism. But that's my belief. And I believe that that Revelation was written at a time from whoever this John of Patmos was to be apocalyptic literature spoken to the Jewish people at the time. It's almost like a book of hope to say, look, Rome will be annihilated. And the 666, the mark of the beast, is talking about Nero, but you can't come out and say his name because you're going to end up getting crucified because they were being so persecuted. So I'd love your thoughts on that. And if you feel like, even if it's different than mine, this safest space, this space is safe for us to agree to disagree on those.
Yeah, and I think you said that really well, and that's what I love about you. And then we're friends because we connect on a relational, spiritual level, and even as we're trying to figure things out. I totally agree with you that the book of Revelation, it's the revelation of John, not revelations. It's one of my pet peeves. Like, you tell me you know the Bible and you say it's Revelations, then I'm like, you don't know the Bible. But
I want you to know I said Revelation, but it might have sounded like Revelations.
No, you said it right. You said it right. And I love how you say whoever.
I thought, did that sound like I just put an S on that?
No, you said it right, and you're correct. Whoever this John of Patmos was that wrote this is very correct. But I look at Revelation like not Aesop's fables, but the nursery rhymes of Great Britain. You know, they were written as anti-king literature, but they couldn't say, so they just called him Humpty Dumpty, and he sat on a wall and had a great fall, and that's what it is. It's a alliterative writing that is trying to keep the people writing it and reading it from being killed by the Roman Empire. And so, like, I'm with you. I don't want to ever tell people this is what I believe, so you should believe it. But what I do want to say is, if any of your beliefs that you've been taught create fear and trauma, pull you away from being your best self, make you feel like you have to be exclusive to be part of an exclusive club or sect of religion, then I want to challenge it. And I think the rapture is one of the most trauma-inducing theologies that exist out there. Maybe even worse than hell, the theology of hell itself, because as a kid, it's just, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this magazine cover in Target, and that's a really attractive person I'm looking at. Ooh, if Jesus comes right at this second, I'm left behind. And as a 6-year-old, being told, you're going to have to make the decision then. Take 666 so you can eat and work and live, but you're then going to hell for eternity, or starve to death, starve your family to death, or be beheaded. That's going to be your choice, young man. What are you going to do? I mean, it's a terrible theology to teach to children, and particularly, as you said, it was invented, I believe, shortly after the Civil War, with just this belief that, okay, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, so let's make a theology that makes that palatable. And then somebody found, like, hey, I can make a lot of money teaching this theology around the world. And suddenly, I didn't know until I was in my 20s that there were Christians that didn't believe in the rapture. And so part of what I want to do is I want to challenge the beliefs that make us fearful, that make us exclusive, and say, have you really thought about this? And Christianity has been wrong so many times throughout history. Is there any chance we have it wrong today? And are we willing to think about that, or even ask the questions about that?
That's so well said. I don't want to miss Midwestern Mom has some good comments here, and I want to make sure that we get to them. But she had asked about, I'm sorry, Midwestern Mom, I don't know your pronouns, so if I'm wrong, please correct me. Thoughts on Buddhism. And I think that this, especially this time where we are in this space where our country is basically trying to annihilate anything that isn't Christian centric. And especially we're seeing the laws that are being passed about the LGBTQIA plus community, but we're also seeing the infiltration into our school systems where it's supposed to be about. Mike Pence is the best at word salad when it comes to this. When he talks about religious, he mires these words into saying that religious freedom is about Christians being free to express their religious beliefs as they want to, feel free to mandate them. So enforcing the Bible back into public education is something that you're going to see, or public funds being directed to Christian-centric school. I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
But Buddhism is more about a practice than it is a religion, is the first thing I would say. So you can be Christian and practice Buddhist practices or Buddhist thought or study Buddhism. Now, there'll be extremist Christians that will tell you not to do that, but you can. But since you're my guest, I want your thoughts on this as well.
One of my best friends that became a new friend during COVID is a Buddhist practitioner, and he was the one that set me straight and said Buddhism is not a religion; it's a practice. And he said his belief was that Jesus was probably one of the most self-actualized persons that ever existed on earth, and he believes that Jesus was a practitioner of Buddhism or some version of it that existed in first century Palestine. And what it did, it freed me up again to seek out God, to seek out spirituality and pathways that I had been told were wrong. And so certainly I don't think, it's interesting. I did a podcast with a young woman that called herself a Christian witch. And I even have friends like, you're going to have a witch on your podcast? And I'm like, yeah, let's find out. Like, why are we afraid? If we hold all truth, why would we be afraid of hearing somebody who disagrees with it? And she came on and she was wonderful. And she then asked if I wanted to have a tarot card reading. And I was like, uh-oh, are demons going to jump on me? Oh my goodness. And I said, okay, let's try it. Let's let people see what it's like. Because I do believe once we see things that we're afraid of, they become not so fearful anymore. And she gave me a really wonderful, sweet tarot card reading that was meaningful to me and I said afterward, in my tradition of Christianity, we give each other prophetic words where we're like, God says this about you. And it felt exactly the same. It was encouraging. It was affirming. And I'm like, this was beautiful. Why would I say no to this?
This is wonderful. And it's interesting. So I have to ask you, when did this happen? When someone offered you a tarot reading and you felt like demons might come through that experience? Can I ask you how long ago that was?
Yeah, I think it was maybe
yesterday.
No, yeah, maybe a year ago. And it's so funny because I'm well into my deconstruction and still a little bit like, oof. And I have some very good friends who are deconstructionists with me. And one of them called me and was like, I'm not going there with you. I mean, I agree that we're wrong on a lot of things, but I'm not going to dive into the dark arts with you.
Wow.
And, yeah. So it's,
you know what? And there's no judgment in this. Absolutely not, because it was
Sure.
it was 1992. So I'm 61, do the math. I went to a church for the first time where a woman was preaching. And I swear to God, I started having heart palpitations. I couldn't breathe. It was like a sunny day, 85 degrees. And I thought, as soon as I leave this church, I'm going to be struck by lightning. Because I sat in a church listening to a woman preach, and I was going to be punished for that.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, in the 2000s, when I snuck off to see Bishop John Shelby Spong, and I was indoctrinated into an apostolic evangelical church, I thought I was going to get hit by a bus. My stepdaughter and I both went, and we snuck in, and then thought I was going to get hit by a bus leaving, because I thought this is demonic, but I could not stay away. I had to go see what this is. So I absolutely understand. I think I was just fascinated to hear that, because I had the honor this week of being interviewed, or not this week, this past year, of being interviewed by John Edward. And if you, that's the psychic medium who had the show. I feel like it wasn't one of my best performances because I think I was a little googly eyed, but I remember sharing with him that I used to be afraid to tell people that I watched his show because that was something that was banned, but yet at the same time you're attracted to it. And then to be sitting here and understanding that what we're manifesting through prayer or whatever rituals or spiritual practices, we're all igniting this same mysterious divine mystery energy. Some people try to appropriate it, but that doesn't work. It's all coming from, and we all have different names and experiences for it. So I want to circle back to something that you said there. Well, first of all, mods, please put at Unconventional Pastor Paul into the chat again, because I want to make sure people can find your regular account when you're not in the bad land of TikTok and they're letting you come live and you don't have to go to your covert account. So make sure they know where to find you. But do you identify now as a Christian? And if so, how do you define your spirituality, your faith walk, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And by the way, I wanted to say on that Christian witch, I asked her, like, are there witches that access dark spirits? Is that possible? Spirits that we wouldn't want around us in some way. And she said, yes, but so can Christians. And I'm like, oh, that's very true. Okay, I got it. So I think we all can attract light or darkness around us, and we don't have to be scared of any one pathway. And so I think I love that you're like, well, the bastards don't get to steal Jesus from me, and I think I'm there. I'd never use the term Christian for myself because what that word has come to mean is a very negative word. And whenever I put Christian on my social media, I put quotes around the Christ part of it because there's not much Christ in American Christianity anymore. But yes, I would say partly because of inheritance and because of just the beauty of the story, I think Jesus is my best pathway to connect to the spiritual world. I think the story is amazing. I think Jesus, and I'm not even that concerned if he really existed or is a made up story. Either way, it's a fucking awesome story about standing against, I hope I don't get you banned on live now, of somebody being inspired by the love of heaven to stand against status quo.
Oh, you just got muted. You might have got muted.
To stand.
There it is. There you are.
Are you still there?
Yeah, you're there.
Oh, you just got muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There must be a delay between us.
Okay.
You might have got
Mama Bug.
There it is. There you are.
Mama Bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you just got muted.
Oh, that's weird. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There must be a delay between us.
I can hear you.
You might have got
Mama Bug.
There it is.
Something's going on
Okay,
there.
this is weird. My phone.
Yeah, no, you just got muted.
Oh, that's weird. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There must be a delay.
Oh, I think so Pastor Paul, something happened with his connection, but Mama Bug, I'm having fun with this. I'm going to invite you because I saw you say something and people were asking you questions about being a Christian witch. So while we're waiting on Pastor Paul, I'm going to bring you in and I'm going to be on live for about 10 more minutes. Mama Bug.
Hi.
Hi, you beautiful soul.
Oh, thank you. How are you?
I am well. More importantly, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm going through some physical therapy now after the aneurysm, but it's mostly a lot of weakness right now. But yeah, I'm doing all right.
I see your comments. I'm just staying focused on the guest, but hello, Auntie Dara. So Mama Bug, you mentioned a while ago that you are a Christian witch, and I want to make sure that
yes, I am.
Who saw that. Talk a little bit about what that means to you.
Okay. Well, I call myself a practicing Christian witch. I also use the term Christo-pagan or Christian pagan. I had a terrible experience with church. When I was younger, I took to my pastor and I told him before I told anybody that I was in love with another woman. And he flat told me there was no act of contrition that was going to save my soul. He flat told me I was going to hell and that I belonged there. So I did not want to be a part of a religion whose God would damn me to eternal hell for falling in love. So I turned my back on God and I found paganism. And then when I was at university, I had to take classes that didn't have something to do with my major. I chose a theology class because I thought it was going to be an easy A. I intended to just answer everything because God, and I was kind of really making fun of it. But I found in that class the religious history of the Middle East and different ways of interpreting the Bible. And I found out then that my pastor was the one that was wrong and not me. And that brought me back to Christianity and God and Jesus. But I did not want to give up my paganism. And I started learning about the different ways of interpreting no other God before me as being that he acknowledges there are other gods. He's just telling you not to worship the God before you worship him first. So that really brought me to saying, yes, I want this pagan religion that is very earthy, it's very nature-oriented, universe-oriented, but I can keep the Christian way of life. I can keep the Christian path and still worship that God and also worship and honor nature and these other gods and goddesses. So I do a lot of spell work. I help a lot of people with deconstructing and healing religious trauma. I feel like that is my responsibility to share this knowledge that I have learned and hopefully help other people heal. I wanted to make a comment. The other person that was in the box was talking about tarot
Pastor
cards.
Paul. Yes.
Yeah. I read tarot cards, and I have dealt with people that were skeptics or kind of like religious, like he was saying, oh, I'm going to go to hell for this. And I always tell them, it says in the Bible, woe unto he who ignores the prophet. And I'm not saying I am a prophet as far as like holy and sanctified, but a prophet as in somebody who can prophesy the future and divine that through these cards.
Well, let me also
So that's how I help with that.
Give you another an addition to that. Prophets
Yes.
Prophets are disruptors and agitators, and they sit outside the margins of accepted standards that are often put in place by those in power. And they're not afraid to push those boundaries and say there is another way. And that profiting, that foretelling, that foreseeing, the gifts that come from that is also like an innate gift that says, these are the tools I'm going to use that you're given to help you with that divination gift. And then you're sitting on the periphery of this, because even though you're basically, there would be people who would reject what your experience of Christianity, but you still are holding on to that because it's meaningful to you. And now you're taking these gifts that you have, these divination gifts, and you're saying, I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to foretell what's happening because I have the same gifts as you, even though you reject me. And that very much is you. That is very much who you are. So in that way, the gifts of the prophet. There's many of us here. There's many of us here who need to learn to claim that, not from a place of ego, but from a place of power. And the reason we've been told to, it almost is an indoctrinated belief to reject the title of prophet, because when you claim it, then our indoctrinated belief says you can't be that, because then you're comparing yourself to the handful that we call prophets. But in reality, every generation has many. And we try to sneak in and say, well, let's not make trouble, but that's exactly what we're supposed to do. We agitate,
I love that.
we disrupt, we show people different paths, and it's in our case, the patriarchal system that says, don't do that.
Yeah.
And so we're going to put you on the outside and call you the devil, call you satanic, call you heretic. So embrace that, Mama Bug, because what I hear there is strength and wisdom in who you are. And I think this is for all my mutuals that are here, anybody here that needs to hear that we have the ability, when we can look at what's happening and say, this ain't going to end well if we don't change things. This ain't going to end well. And you get that gift, that voice, then you use the powers that you have, the divination tools that you have, to move forward and share your gifts with the people who will listen to you. So please keep that work up. Please keep that work up, and don't listen to these. If you can see these comments, they just get silly, because they're the ones that are intimidated by your power. And they're the ones who have been indoctrinated to say this is the only way to experience Jesus, through the heteronormative patriarchal structure that's been in place for decades, and it's not working anymore.
Right.
It's not. It's failing. One of the things that for years I had trouble with is a book called Christianity Must Change or Die, which was written by Bishop John Shelby Spong. And now I absolutely believe it, because it's not saying that the religion itself is inherently wrong, but the structure in which it was made is faltering.
Yeah.
And so those of us who are saying there's a different way to experience this. And Scotty, the odd boomer, are you still here? If you are, I want to answer your question. And did we miss any good questions? Because Mama Bug, the comments are lighting up when we started talking about this. So is a gift a curse? No, Auntie Dara, a gift is not. It can feel like one when it's heavy and you feel like it's alienating you. Alistair, you're here. Hello, beautiful soul. Hello. I will see you Sunday. Did Pastor Paul make it back in? I guess Pastor Paul didn't make it back in, but Mama Bug, I'm not seeing any questions here right now. Wait, how can the gift of being able to read tarot how can the gift of being able, Auntie Dara, I'm not sure. Oh, be a blessing or a curse. I think I finished your thought there, but Mama Bug, I've been talking here for a minute, but please continue. What's on your heart? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, my goodness. I just wanted to tell you that I absolutely love you completely. We, in the LGBTQ community, we so need a strong voice ally in the church. And I absolutely appreciate you for what you do on here to let people in the LGBTQ community know that it is not an eternal damnation thing. And we need that. And so I really wanted to tell you how much I love you. I've not caught your live before. I appreciate everything that you do.
Let's do this again, my friend. And I'm thinking of you. I'm sending you so much love and healing.
Thank you.
And please keep tagging me. I just came out of a big writing cave, but I will get to some of your, hello, Saul. I will get to your videos very soon. I love you. Please take good care of yourself.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, honey.
Okay. So I'm now running out of time here. Where are we? Oh, thank you, Whiskey and Coffee. Okay. Scotty, the odd boomer, you're not here, but this is being recorded. And we will be posting this on over at the I'm sure if I say it here, it's going to get muted, but at another place. You can find it at on my profile. The mods might be able to write it here and let you know. Scotty the Odd Boomer asked me, do I believe in Jesus when there is no evidence of his existence? And I'm going to say this. I am in love with the story of Jesus. I'm in love with the mystery of Jesus. I'm in love with whatever happened at that time where a paradigm shift happened, that everyone wanted to create a story around him that was so powerful and meaningful that it still impacts us today. And yes, some of that impact has been very negative when you turn your beliefs into weaponizing and oppressing others' right to exist. So I can't say, I'm not here to debate whether or not he existed. I'm here to say that something happened around this person named Jesus. And that's what I'm drawn to. You can't take what we know as the Bible and say it's complete or that it's everything, because it wasn't. It was always flawed because we never had a completed manuscript. From the beginning, when everything was written, was oral tradition, to the part where it was in written manuscripts, and people were influenced by whoever was in power to change the narrative. And then whatever got printed, if it was bad, it was a bad translation, then those Bibles got printed, which is exactly what happened with the King James Bible. It's one of the most flawed versions that there is, even though it's considered by a lot of evangelical as the only Bible that you should use. There's no way we know the complete story. And we also know that a lot has been added to over time and a lot has been deleted. So weaponizing the Bible to say this is how we're supposed to live our life makes no sense to me, but also ignoring the fact that something about this man we call Jesus was so profoundly sacred and different that I just can't throw all that away. So even though I'm very much an agnostic, and somebody's going to take that and run with it, say, see, I told you, and all that means is I question things. I'm not afraid to question. All of us should be living in curiosity and wonder about who Jesus was and who or what God is. The minute we stop questioning, the minute we plant our feet and say, this is as far as I'm taking my faith, that's when it becomes static. And that's when you become so dogmatic in your faith that you have no choice but to turn back to the world and say, this is as far as I'm going to go. And it shows up in how you show up in the world as a rigid, dogmatic person who says, I'm going to stake my claim here, that this is the only way to believe it. And by God, I'm going to show you that that's all there is. And there's not. It's an expansiveness, curiosity that we should be seeking to live in. Because whether you want to believe it or not, we are evolving. We have been evolving. Thank God we're not back at the places where sacrifices happened because we were afraid that the volcano gods were mad at us. You cannot deny that we haven't evolved, and that faith back then doesn't fit here. But yet we hold on to the places where we have phobic beliefs because they serve the heteronormative standard that says, I am the gatekeeper. My faith makes me the gatekeeper of the rest of the entirety of humanity. It's ridiculous. And it never was supposed to be that way. That's why it's about evolving to a place where everyone, not only the fact that I have to say that all of us deserve a seat at the table is ridiculous because I'm not the one to proclaim it. But people who still feel like that they're the ones who get to decide who gets a seat at the table of humanity, we have to make these ridiculous assumptions about who gets a seat there because we're talking about people who feel like that they have the right to be morally or spiritually superior over the rest of the humanity. And if you don't look like, love like, believe like we do, well, then off to hell with the rest of you. It's ridiculous. So for that, I'll keep seeking the Jesus story. And because that inspires me. For someone else, it's a different religious path, and that's okay too. But for me, that's where I go. And I have been preaching. And so, Local Lesbian was here. I missed all the comments, and I have got to go. I've got to get a writing project done. Hello, Local Lesbian. Are you here? I might have missed you. Okay, everyone, it's time for me to go. We will do another time when Pastor Paul is here and can spend some time. This has been so much fun. I have enjoyed this so much. We'll do it again soon. Mutuals, if you can, I will be reaching out to you to see who wants to go live with me the next time. Pastor Paul, I just interviewed him for my podcast, Spirituality Matters, that will be posting later this month. So be looking for that. You can subscribe for my podcast, Spirituality Matters, on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, right? I have a forum coming up next week called Leaving Church, Finding God, and would love for you to join me at that. You can find more information soon at numasoul.com. Thank you all very much. This has been a wonderful day, and I've enjoyed our experience here. It's been a while. Thank you. Bye for now.